All right, please be joined this time by Coach Brian Usry from Harlem. Harlem had a great season this year, Coach. Really impressed with you guys and excited to hear what you got to say about the defense. So, talking about keeping defense simple. So, Coach, thanks for joining me and take it away.
All right, Coach, thanks for having me. It's just an honor to be able to join you and speak and talk about defense and how to keep defense simple and how to create player buy-in in order to get kids to really want to play for you. So, uh, with that being said, here we go. So, how do you keep defense simple in today's world? I mean, it's kind of hard, honestly, to stay simple because of all the unlimited access that you got and all the resources that we have with YouTube and CoachTube and clinics and podcasts and Twitter and et cetera. So um, you kind of have to be careful with really looking at too much stuff and trying to feel like you can do it all. So I just think that I've learned a lot over the years. And if you watch all your successful teams that play late in the season and people that have year in and year out of success, they're very simple at what they do and they're very good at what they do because they are so simple, which allows their kids to be able to play fast. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about here tonight. I'm a firm believer that being simple is the recipe for success. So, but who we are on defense, we are a 4-2-5 defense. We like to read and react, and we're going to read our keys, react to the football, and go from there. We will slant. We will move when needed. We'll run twists and move people around when we like to send pressure. But we're mostly gonna work on our block recognition, and we're gonna react to our reads and go from there. We do play mostly zone coverage team. We're probably our base, I would say, would be a cover 4 scheme on the back end, and then we'll switch and play some cover 3 and some cover 1. I like to think that we are simple with our coverage schemes because once we teach these coverages, then for me, it's easy to teach kids strong and weak. And then from there, we start to run some what people are calling your split field coverages. But once the kids understand the concepts, then it's easier to teach split field and play games with people on the weak side and the back side. We're a former 3-3 stack team. I love the 3-3 stack, and we ran this defense for a while. But we started dabbling last year with the 4-2-5 and really liked it. Our kids liked it. We didn't feel like we had as many creases and gaps. And then we just started looking at our personnel. And after looking at this, and speaking with, not speaking with, but listening to other coaches, I had a chance to hear from David Bishop, former coach at North Hall, talk about why they run the 4-2-5. And it just made a lot of sense. Really with a 3-man front, you're going to have three big guys plus 3 backups. Well, in an even front, his philosophy, I kind of bought into. You only really need 2 big guys, and then you can get away with playing some smaller guys. So we kind of converted our Mike linebackers out of the 3-3 stack into some defensive ends, and they just played better at that position than they did at the Mike position. So, and then the second one that I got some information from, I actually got to hear him in person. He's an incredible coach and hilarious guys. Is Rocky Hidalgo down at Glenn Academy. I got a chance to watch him coach outside linebacker play, and once he talked about the size kids he was having and playing those outside backer positions and how they were playing, I said, we can do those types of things too. So we made the switch this season to full-time even front, and it just worked out well for us. But the ways we keep it simple is we only really move our inside linebackers strong and weak. And we do that so that it helps us call our blitzes. But everybody else pretty much stays the same. And I coach the free safeties and the 2 outside backers on defense. And those 3 guys do the majority of our adjusting and moving. But everybody else kind of stays put. Now, we will move our defensive ends and we will move our corners whenever we need to have some matchups on Friday nights. And we got a big defensive end that's going to Georgia Southern, and we would put him in against certain opponents, and we would say, all right, now you're going to go play the tight end, or we need you to match up versus this offensive tackle tonight. And we would, we got a really good corner that was a senior, and another corner that wasn't quite as developed yet. That was a sophomore. So if we needed a better matchup, then we would just tell him, hey, you're playing number such and such this week when he's out as the number one receiver, and just move kids around whenever we needed them to, instead of trying to focus on who's strong corner and weak corner. So we really try to dumb it down and as much as we could. And then our offense is runs a lot of shifts and motions and trades, and they can get you in a mess if you have too many moving parts. So we just wanted to really make it as simple as we could and not have as many moving parts as possible in order to be successful. So that's a little bit about us and what we do. How do you stay simple? How do you be effective as a coach and get kids to want to play for you? I think the first thing you got to do is you got to show them that you care. You got to show them that you care on and off the field. I don't believe you can fool kids, and especially teenagers. They'll sniff you out real quick. I believe that we have to hold kids accountable. You know, somebody in their life has to do it. Coach Wooden said it best years ago. He said the bench is your best friend. So sometimes we have to sit kids that we don't want to sit when they may come late to practice or may try to skip out on practice. But holding kids accountable is something that they will appreciate later in life, but it's something that's a must if you're going to have a group of kids play defense with. You got to believe you got to coach every play. There's something that can be said to every single kid, every single rep. And then I believe that when you show the kids that you care and they have buy-in and believe in what you do, then I believe you can coach kids however you need to coach them and they'll respond. And if you need to chew them and you need to get on them, then I don't see anything wrong with that. But before they leave the grass that day, or before they leave the locker room, I believe that it's important to build them back up. And that's something I learned from my former head coach a long time ago. He was very good at chewing your tail, but then turning right around. And whether it's the next play or later in practice, he come and put his arm around you and let him know and let you know. So I just think that's important too. And then as coaches, I think it's important that we never stop learning. I mean, my goodness, with podcasts and clinics and former coaches, I think when you're looking at your defense, I think you always need to be evaluating. This year, we're looking at tweaking a couple of coverages and some things that we do to try to get better, some weaknesses that we feel like we need to improve on. But sometimes I think you need a tweak, and sometimes you need a wholesale change. But in order to do that, you have to constantly seek advice from other people and other coaches and just continue to start learning. Now, moving on to our in-season schedule. These are some things, it's not rocket science, it's things that everybody's doing. But what I want to talk about is the simplicity of this. And what we try to tell our kids every week is that we need to focus on us. We don't need to worry about focusing on who our opponent is. Our focus needs to be on us. And I always tell the kids before we play every week is, hey, don't get beat by Harlem. Let's don't get beat by Harlem tonight. And they know what that means. That means doing your job and playing hard for your brother. But we need to focus on us and the things that we do to make us better. And so this is our weekly schedule. I'll go into it just a little bit, not too in depth, because I don't want to bore anybody to death. But this is our schedule, and it's consistent. And this is what we put together as a staff that we feel like we have to cover and check all the boxes to get to a Friday night. But one thing about this schedule is that nothing changes a whole lot except for our time periods. But what this does is it helps the kids because they know on Mondays what's coming. They know on Tuesdays what's coming. And it helps us as coaches as well, because in Sunday meetings, we don't have to try to figure out, well, when are we going to devote time to this? And when we're going to make sure we check the boxes on this. It's already predetermined for the week. So what you'll notice here, though, is something that's kind of unique to us is Monday, Tuesday. You see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You don't see anything on Thursdays. Well, we don't practice on Thursdays. And when our head coach first came up with this, I thought it was crazy. I thought there's no way this is going to work. He's lost his mind. How can you give kids a day off? But then I started learning that other programs, I got some friends at Thompson and Burke County, and they do their walkthroughs during the school day while they have them in weights, and they let their kids go home after school. And I said, well, maybe this thing does make sense. But here's what it does for us. It gives our kids an opportunity, our varsity kids, to get their legs back on them, to take a break, to take a day off, then you can demand more from them. Say, look, you got to be able to give me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If you can't give me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, then we got some other issues. But this allows them to have that day to take some time to go meet with teachers, to go retake a test, to go get to the barbershop, whatever it is that you need to do, that's their day. And then for us, it allows us to spend some quality time with our JV, because in our program, I coach the outside linebackers and safeties at the varsity and the JV level. So we coach everything. So on Thursdays, I have to be the bus driver. I have to be the JV coach. So, but it allows us to just spend some quality time with our JV kids on a Thursday, take them through pregame meal, and just really do it right. And if you think about it, with not practicing on a Thursday, I mean, how much time have we wasted throughout our careers going through kickoff and special teams, and you're missing 2 or 3 kids because they're dressing for the JV game. You don't have them there anyway. Or you tell your kids, hey, we're going to be done at 4:30. Make sure your rides are here. And then you're still sitting there at 6 o'clock waiting on Johnny to get picked up. So it's just been a good thing for us. And then we just take that time on Fridays after we eat pregame meal, and that's when we do our walkthrough. So we have plenty of time on Fridays between the time school gets out and we kick off to go through it, and then it stays more fresh on the kids' minds, and it just works for us. So that's kind of how we do our week. Now I'm just going to run through this stuff real quick and talk about some simplicity of our schedule. Like I said, it's the same each and every week. On defense, we stress some things that are important to us that we always have to focus on us, and that's tackling. So we're going to start each day with tackle stations. So on Mondays, we have 3 tackle stations. We rotate the kids through them. This is done during pre-practice. So during pre-practice, we got kicking and catching going on. Our offensive linemen are off doing their thing, and then we've got everybody else, varsity and JV, and we're rotating through all these tackle stations. After that, we jump into an immediate team drill. We go 2 minutes on Mondays, and this is an 8-minute team session. And this is something we started this year, and I think it's the best team periods that we have throughout the week is right at the beginning of practice. It's live and in color. It's defense priority gets the first 4 minutes, and we're live. And it's just, we're on the sidelines. It's Friday night signal calling. Our OC's on the other side. He's calling plays, and 4 minutes in, our head coach hits the whistle, and we switch to offense priority, and then we get our backups in, and we go for another 4 minutes. So that period is really good. And then we come out of a break, and it slows down a little bit in the Indy. But then we get into our coverage drill. And during this time, we're in the group work. So we've got coverage drill, linebacker reads, and D-line block recognition all going on at once. But instead of us running a traditional pass scale, we go 2B2 drill. So we're working our coverages for the week versus 2B2, but we got 2 receivers going against 2 defensive backs, or a corner and a safety, and a quarterback. So we're going both sides. So I coach one side, our corners coach, he coaches the other side, and we're shotgunning them and going as fast as we can, getting a bunch of reps. And it's simple because all we do is we stand behind the defensive guys, and we either hand signal our team's plays, or we just simply draw on our hands as fast as we can the route combinations that we want, and our kids know them, and it's a fast way to get a bunch of reps. And we work strong side and weak side out of that coverage drill. So then you're not wasting time trying to run a traditional pass scale out of 2B2. So we spend our entire coverage drill just focusing on those concepts, and we're running the 2x2 concepts that we're either going to see that week or the ones that give us the biggest problems based on our coverage. So once that's over, we switch into team. On Mondays, we're going team red zone, and it's us versus us. So we're going to go for 10 minutes with our backs to the wall, and our offense is running our plays. And then we're going to switch it after 10 minutes, and we're going to go for another 5 minutes. We're going to take the offense and put their backs to the wall. We're going to put them on the 3-yard line, and just to teach our kids the difference on how you play defense when your back's to the wall and when you got the offense backed up. So that's on Monday. Tuesdays, we jump straight into our pre-practice stations again, but this day is our takeaway Tuesday. We call it takeaway Tuesdays. And so we got stations going on where we're working punch and rips, and we're really trying to focus on getting the ball back. And this is an area that we realized that we needed to get better at, and we did. So you go 2 seasons ago, in an entire season, we had 12 takeaways. It was terrible. So 2 seasons ago, we start practicing and focusing on takeaways. We're doing takeaways every Tuesday. We're trying to put during team sessions, hey, our goal is to get 2 takeaways during team. And it's amazing that once we started focusing on the simplicity of just trying to work on takeaways, we go from 12 takeaways in one season to 24. And then this past season, we had 27. So every Tuesday is takeaway Tuesday. So we got rotation stations going there. And then we come right out of that and we go into a team goal line drill. Same thing, 4 minutes defense priority, 4 minutes offense. And so we're getting quality reps. We're fast, it's game-like, and we're getting backups work. Then we jump into Indy. And then our coverage drill is 3x1. So we're this one, we don't focus so much on the routes that the other team is going to run at us that week. We instead focus on routes that are going to hurt our coverages that people typically try to do to us. So I just simply went on huddle and I drew up. I've got a laminated card front and back of all types of plays versus trips that cause us problems, and most cover 3 and cover 4 problems. And we rep those as fast as we can and get our 2 groups repped, and we just roll through those when we just sit in trips and do all the coverages that we like to do out of trips. While that's going on, we got linebackers doing pass drops on their end of the field, D-lines working another block rec drill. And then after that, we come back to our team period, and our whole team session that day is trips, everything trips, from you name it, tight end trips to trips close to your traditional trips, but you name it, we're running everything we see typically out of trips. Then we come back on Wednesday, we hit tackle stations, but it's 3 different tackle stations. It's not the same ones from Monday. And the thing about these tackle stations is it's really the only time that we get to actually tackle something live and taking bags to the ground and wheels, and we do our gator roll tackles, because we're mostly a thud team during our team. We're a big low profile tackling team, but we don't want to low profile tackle our people all week, and we just don't have the depth. So these pre-practice tackle stations are huge for us. And we really try to put the kids through it and get the most out of them. Then after that, after our pre-practice tackle stations, we jump right into a 3rd and long drill. And it's same thing. It's that best team practice periods of the practice where it's 4 minutes defense priority, 4 minutes offense priority, calling it from the sidelines, just like a game, trying to make football as game-like as possible. After that, we slow it down a little bit. And so now we're going to work our man coverage, which we don't do a lot of, but we still have to rep it each week because we're trying to check the boxes for us. So we'll go 1v1 man drill, 1 on each side of the field. I run a group, our cornerback coach runs the other group. And while that's going on, we got DLs working their pass rush and blitzes. Then we come out of that and we run team versus empty. Anything empty, it could be quads, it could be traditional empty, whatever. We're going to spend a 5-minute period going over empty. Then we're going to spend a 5-minute going over compressed formations. And this is the one where it'll get you. If you don't devote time to this, you can get misaligned real quick, and people can get on the edge on you, and you get crack blocked in a hurry. So we make sure we can line up right to those concepts and those formations. And then we finish with team versus 20 and 21 personnel. But we want to make sure that we check all these boxes. If you think about most offenses today, they're going to run 2x2 and trips and empty throughout the week. The only exception is, 2 seasons ago, we played Lincoln County. They're a wing T team. And then this year we played Long County in game 11, and they were a 2-type power T. So of course, your team periods are going to change because you got to devote time to those, but you still better cover as much as you can, because if they get in 2-minute situations, if they get in these other scenarios, you want to make sure your kids are prepared and ready to go on a Friday night. So That's pretty much what we do in season. Now, a few more things on our in season. We don't do scout cards. We try to keep things as simple as possible. I know this seems, some people are going to disagree with this, but we only do them if it's necessary. I have wasted so much time over my years drawing up scout cards, printing them off a huddle, coloring them. It's just, I spent so much time yelling at kids, and I would color different positions by purple, and I'd be yelling at the purple kid, and he don't even know what I'm yelling at him for. And so we just don't do it anymore. We don't do scout cards. But what I do is on our team periods, I'll build a script and I'll give it to our offensive coordinator, and he's great because what he does is he will take the script. So I might go 2x2 hitches, or I might go 3x1 power, and he'll take it from there and convert it into our terminology, and he's hand signaling it, and that way we're able to run fast and not have to get complicated and not have to get in a huddle and show scout cards and all that stuff. So it allows us to practice at a faster pace, which has been very good. Another thing we do is we get 2 defensive groups ready to go on a Friday night, and they get equal reps during all team periods. I know that your first group is better than your second, but I learned this from my old high school coach. That second group, come mid-late season, they are going to be so much better if you give them the equal reps. It gives me peace of mind going into a Friday night that we got 2 solid groups on the depth chart ready to go in and play that know what to do. And then going into the next season, when you graduate kids, you got kids already ready to go. So we believe in getting 2 groups ready for a Friday night. And then we also have a scout team group that we service the offense, and then we have a JV. So we're constantly trying to build depth. The next thing is we want to, every rep, whether it's in a drill, whether it's in a coverage drill, whether it's indie, whether it's team, we want it 1,000 miles an hour, 100%, just like the game is played. This is an area that we're going to focus on and try to get better at next year. Is some of that feed the cats philosophy that Tony Holler does, and I'm a track coach, so I believe in what he says, and I've tried to change as I've gotten older. And for example, during my indie periods, if I'm doing footwork drills, when I do some drills, I'll send kids on a drill that may take them halfway across the field. Well, I tell them to stay, and after I send my groups over, I jog over to them and send them back, because I want them to understand that you get your rest in between plays, but when it's time to get that rep, it's 1,000 miles an hour and 100%. So that's what we're trying to get, an area that we're going to try and work on next year. And then we believe that it's the coach's job to get the kids prepared for everything, to be prepared for everything, and to make the in-game adjustments. The kids don't need to be able to know all this stuff. They don't care about football as much as we do. So for me, if I can get the kids to line up right, to read and react, and to cover and tackle, then the rest is up to us. So, when you're looking at in-season stuff, if I can go into a Monday practice knowing what their top runs, their top passes, if I know who their playmakers are, and from there, I'm ready to go into Monday, and I've got the rest of the week to figure out myself what types of blitz we want to run on certain downs and situations. I've got till Friday night to get all that stuff prepared. But I don't believe in putting all that pressure on the kids. I believe you make it as simple as you can and just tell them, so, hey, we're going to line up right, we're going to read and react, we're going to cover and tackle. So that's some of the things we do on our in-season schedule to help us stay simple and to play fast. Moving on, this is something that I really like, that I stole it from another coach off a podcast, to be honest with you. I don't remember who we got it from, but we call it our habit rate. And here's what we do is we take these 6 categories that are important to defense, and we calculate them. And this calculates our success on defense. Now, Huddle is such an awesome tool. It's incredible, and we use it. I use it a ton. So this really doesn't take that long to do. But basically, we have a coach that does it for us, and he creates a folder on Sundays, and he will do this. He does this at his house. He takes the folder and creates it, and then every time we have one of these 6 categories, he clicks that play and drags it into a folder. And you can do that for all 5 of those categories except for your third down stops. Well, because Huddle is so awesome, you can just real quick, you can sort through your third down plays and go through the ones where you got third down stops, tag them and drop them into a folder too, and then you've got your plays. So what that does is that gives us instant highlights week by week as the season goes. And then at the end of the season, it's done. So you can just simply take each one of those folders, drag them into a season folder, and you got your end of season highlights as well. So this is something that we teach to the kids and talk to the kids. And all you do is you take the number of plays that you created havoc on, and you divide that by the total number of plays that you played on defense that night. And I like it because it gives us a percent. It kind of gives us a grade. And for us, for the most part, if we can get in the 30% range, then that's normally a good night for us on defense. There are some exceptions. This year, we got beat by Elbert early in the season. We lost 27-21. Our havoc rate was 33%, and we lost. But most of the other times we hit in the 30s, we're going to win. Another example is we played Aquinas. It was a very close game, a very good ball game that we actually ended up winning right at the end, and our havoc rate that night was 31%. So I just like it for myself. Kids like it, and we post it and we share it with the kids in Huddle, and that's just a way for us to keep up with some successful things that we do on defense. Moving on to in-season player buy-in. So some of the things that we do to try to but try to get kids to want to play defense. You know, football is a tough game, and it makes tough people, but you got to find ways to make it fun and for them to want to play for you. So we try to focus and celebrate parts of the game that create wins. And one of those I talked about earlier was takeaways. So this is an idea I got as well from another coach. It's called a takeaway board, and my wife, she goes and buys these every year. And it's just the canvas boards that you paint on. So we just take one and I put a helmet decal on it. And for every takeaway you get in the game, you get to autograph it. And at the end of the season, I present it to you at the banquet. And our kids really get into this, and they want to know, you know, who's in the lead and who's going to get this is one of our best awards that we give out on our banquet night that the kids really enjoy. And then just like everybody else does, to create a takeaway chain. And we went to the pet store and got a huge dog bone and painted it gold and put a chain on it. And our kids get to put that on the sidelines, and giving out the decals for, you know, everybody's got criteria. We've got some too that we do for decals, but kids love that instant gratification. And they on Mondays, they want those decals on those helmets, and they want to see how many bones they can put on their helmets throughout the season. And then when the bye week comes, I'm just a firm believer, and it's okay to take some time and just have fun with your kids. One of the biggest things we do that I love was we call it position swap. So we're in team, and we'll blow the whistle and we'll swap them. We'll put the D lineman go back to the secondary, and we put our secondary kids on the D line, and then we just have a 5-minute team period. And you would have thought it was one of the greatest things that they've ever seen and ever done. It's just hilarious to watch as coaches. The kids love it. So that's something fun that we do. And then sometimes we'll just stop practice and we'll do a lineman punt return challenge. So we'll take some of our linemen and get to watch them catch punt returns. And if you've never done that, you want a good laugh, that's something fun that you can do as well. But you got to do some things with kids to celebrate them and to let them want to know, want to play football. So that's some of the things we do in season. All season player buy-in, you gotta keep kids throughout the all season. You gotta stay in touch with them every day, and you gotta do more than just fuss at them at workouts, and you gotta love on kids. But here's some of the things that we've done in the past. And one of the things we just started this past year, Coach Parker, I got it from you straight out of your book and put it together as the Ironman competition. You know, that was fun to do. We did it at the end of July. We took pictures of our Ironmen, and we took the results, and I put results for each grade level, And then we posted those in our football program. And the kids loved it. We put it on social media, and that is going to propel us into our off season when kids come back. We put those past year's results up in the weight room, and then we show kids, all right, who's going to be the next group, who's the next Ironman group. So that was huge for us, and that was a big bonus for off season. It just forces kids to want to outwork each other in the weight room because they know that testing's coming in July. The next thing we did is I'll take a small group and we'll go on a mountain hike and just get the kids away and get them on a bus and take them to the top of a mountain, spend some time with them, have a devotion at the top of the mountain. And I like to do this in the spring, leading up to spring practice, talk about expectations going into the season, and just get away with the kids. This year, the kids mentioned they want to do a fishing trip. So I said, okay, this spring, instead of doing our mountain hike, we're going to go fishing. We're going to try to go to the mountains and catch some trout. There's a local church here in our community that does a service every August called Day of Champions. And they brought in David Pollock and DJ Shockley and Tommy Bowden on different occasions. And so we'll get together with the kids and go to watch that. And it's kind of like a church service, but it's also a service where they get to listen to these guys. And another thing we do is we have pool days at the house where I'll just get a group of kids, whether it's seniors or whether it's just my position group, and we'll go hang out at the pool and get some pizza or cook some hot dogs. But anything that you can do so that kids see you in a different environment, I think is important when you're talking about building player buy-in. Because if once you establish relationships with kids, then you can really say and do about whatever you need to, and they're gonna buy in, and you got them. But I think that when you make your defense, when you make your program as simple as you can make it for the kids, and they get it and they understand it, and then you establish and build those relationships with the kids, then I think you have the recipe to have something special. We had a great season this year, and we had a great season because we had great kids. And they all came together at the right time. It's like Coach Saban said, you've got the right guys on the bus. And that's really the reason why we've had the success that we had this season. So that's pretty much it. And that's all I've got. Coach, I've got my information on slide one. I'd be happy to talk with anybody going forward about scheme or practice or anything else we do tonight that they may have seen that they want to learn more about. I'd be happy to talk to people.
Yeah, Case, you'll be able to pause that first slide and contact Coach if you have any questions. We got one in the chat that, don't just comments talking about so many scout O's don't know their own offense. And, I thought it was a good – I tell you what I noticed, Coach. I knew you guys did a good job, but in full disclosure, I don't know you that well. But I was impressed with the amount of real – evaluation of what's working and what's not. And I know just coaching, one thing that really helped me and has helped me propel into this Parker resource thing is I didn't really do stuff just because we always did it. I was kind of looking at what might be okay. And you got a lot of stuff like that in here where you're actually looking at, maybe because we always practice on Thursday, but I love to not practice on Thursday. I think I would maybe not do that if I could get away with it. Do the walkthrough during the day or something, or even do it on Friday. Because sometimes at home anyway, I got where toward the end, I preferred to walk through on Friday, Yeah. I just think there was a lot of stuff in this presentation that was innovative, but not so remarkable you couldn't understand it, if you didn't know, like just figuring out some ways to do some different things with kids and having the early reps in practice, not drawing scout cards. I might get hire staff if I didn't have to draw scout cards. Coach, that was good, man. It really was. I thought it was innovative, and not in the innovative way of 9 million coverages, but innovative in that what's some things that you can do to help your team be realistic and ready to play. And now I have a better understanding of why Harlem had a good season. So I appreciate you. And that Iron Man thing, I had to give Sid Maxwell credit for that, but we stole it from him. And then I have marketed it into something else. But Sid should get Sid may have stole it from somebody too, but Sid got it. I appreciate you, Coach. That was great, man.
Yeah, Coach, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, if I can ever help you out in any way, let me know. Take care.
Oh, you have a ton, man. I bought so much of your stuff and looked through it and dig through it, and that's how we get better.
That's how you get better, man. I appreciate it. Really, if I can ever help you, contact me anytime. Take care.
All right, thanks.